In 2006, a survey found that a third of young people in Britain thought Timbuktu wasn't real. To them, it was just a myth. But Timbuktu is a real city in Mali, and in 2012, it became the site of one of the greatest heists in history. This is the story of a librarian who outsmarted Al-Qaeda. And then, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with that story. For 400 years, Europe was obsessed with Timbuktu. Traders told stories of a city out in the desert, with roofs made of pure gold. In 1824, Paris offered 10,000 francs to the first person to reach the city and come back alive. That last part was the hard part. Explorers like Mungo Park and Major Alexander Leng vanished or were murdered before they could ever tell their tale. Then came René Caillie. He spent years learning Arabic and living as a Muslim. Walking into the city, disguised as an Egyptian traveler, he wrote his notes in secret, hiding them under a mat. In 1828, he became the first European to return from Timbuktu. But his findings were disappointing. No gold, no domes, just a dusty town of earth-colored houses at the edge of the desert. Years later, another explorer found what Caillie had missed. Timbuktu's real treasure wasn't gold, it was paper. Thousands of manuscripts. Timbuktu was the Oxford of West Africa. Scholars copied old works and wrote new ones on everything from astronomy to medicine. These books weren't in a central library. They were kept in ordinary houses, handed down through families for generations. They covered surgery, law, and poetry. There was even a 12th century Quran written on parchment made from fish skin. For centuries, Europe claimed Africa had no written history. Yet here, in a mythical city, were hundreds of thousands of books. Then, in 2012, Islamist militias linked to Al-Qaeda seized the city. They began destroying anything they considered forbidden. Abdelkader Haidara had spent his life collecting these manuscripts. He knew he had to act before they were lost forever. Using a grant meant for his studies at Oxford, Haidara recruited hundreds of people to pack 400,000 manuscripts into trunks. They moved them at night, by mule cart, by donkey, and in canoes down the river, past jihadist checkpoints. Every checkpoint was a coin flip. To a soldier, a locked trunk at night looks like weapons. Some books were damaged in the searches. At one point, a French helicopter nearly fired on a boat full of books, certain it was running guns. It went on for 8 months. When Al-Qaeda finally fled, they burned 4,000 manuscripts. But Haidara had saved the rest. He had beaten them. That's the story you've heard. It's a heroic, redemptive tale. But there's a part that usually gets left out. Journalist Charlie English spent years investigating this heist. He found that the story had grown to fit what the world wanted to hear. Western donors wanted a hero story, and numbers were inflated to secure funding. The scale was likely smaller than the headlines claimed. Timbuktu has always given the world what it wanted to see, whether it was a city of gold or a city of scholars and heroes. But the manuscripts didn't need the myth. They were always real, protected by ordinary families for over 600 years. Ordinary people hid these books in their houses long before the world was watching. That's not a smaller story, it's just a true one. The Deep Cut. We flag the legends and find the truth. Subscribe for more.